Josh Warrington versus Carl Frampton was an all-out war that saw Warrington get the better of the exchanges, leading to him winning an easy decision. Of course, something I'd like to take note of that was very prevalent in the beginning of the fight was that Warrington displayed a very sharp, commanding jab that dictated the distance and pace early on in the fight.
Amateur or pro.
Good jab there from Warrington. See, he's not a big puncher, but I think he's, I think you feel.
Good jab again from Warrington.
Right hand there from Josh Warrington also. Frampton just can't find his range yet.
Nice beating.
A big factor in why Warrington was able to win the jabbing battle against Frampton was the fact that he possesses a 5-inch reach advantage. I'd even argue that he has the hand speed advantage as well. The point I'm getting at is that when you find yourself getting out-jabbed by the longer fighter, a lot of the time fighters tend to abandon their jab and initiate their offense with other punches instead. The problem with this is that you still need the jab to take control of the fight back. The jab will help you set up the other punches and lessen the chance that you'll get countered for it. Most importantly, if you cannot reach your longer opponent with your jab, then you simply won't be able to reach them with anything else. That is, of course, unless you lunge, and doing that will get you countered even more. So this is why you shouldn't abandon the jab, and this is what Frampton does as early as round 2 against Warrington. So this was the best example of Warrington's 5-inch reach advantage taking place. Notice how Frampton is measuring his distance with that lead hand, and you see there Warrington's able to hit him with a right hook to the body, while Frampton's lead hand is fully extended. You know, is barely able to reach Warrington with that fully extended lead arm, which is going to be his longest range weapon. You see there Warrington's just able to reach him with a right hook to the body. This shows that he has that reach advantage, and Frampton's going to have to keep him even further out of reach than his fully extended arm. Then going back to this clip again, watch how Warrington, he'll show a feint as a stepping forward, probe with his jab, he'll level change, and there you see the jab. And you notice there that Frampton tries to counter with a left hook. And see, this is a problem because Warrington, who has a 5-inch reach advantage, barely reached him with that jab. You hit him with the very tip of that jab. And if he's going to hit you with the tip of the jab, then Frampton, whose arms are 5 inches shorter, are no way going to reach him with a left hook. He's going to have to use a jab instead.
But no, I think that's still right. I think that's still right. I think that's still right.
He's going looking.
So we see that Frampton backs up and he tries to keep Warrington at bay with his lead hand. You see that he controls the distance with that lead hand, which is a very good thing. But you see Warrington's still able to reach him with his jab, and you see he follows it up with the right hand, which gets blocked by Frampton's shoulder. But you see here that Frampton's game plan was essentially to keep Warrington at bay and counter him as he came in with big left hooks and right hands. The problem with that is that Warrington was not stepping in and lunging at him with his jabs. He was keeping him at an educated distance right at the edge of his jabs. With a proper distance control, Frampton was never able to catch him with these left hooks as he was coming in, and this was pretty much the downfall of him during this fight.
There's enough for you in his respect. It's good there for Warrington. There's enough for you in his respect. It's good there for Warrington.
Warrington takes Frampton to the right to change the angle of his next attack. This goes against the conventional strategy of circling your opponent to the left in orthodox versus orthodox matchups, because usually circling to the left behind the jab allows you to expose the center line of your orthodox opponent. And circling to the right is not the wrong direction to move, since there is no such thing as a wrong direction to move. You must use all of your tactics and move every direction in your strategy in boxing. Conventionally, most fighters are used to circling to the left, so changing it up by moving to the right may expose a potential weakness in your opponent. By circling to the right, Warrington gets to the outside of Frampton's lead shoulder. Having reacted too late, Frampton counters this movement by circling to the right as well, but it's too late for that. Warrington is outside of Frampton's lead shoulder, meaning Frampton can't possibly hit Warrington back without making an adjustment first. Warrington closes the distance and tags Frampton before the adjustment is made with these jabs. And then we see Warrington savagely strafe Frampton along the ropes. But keep in mind that this was all set up, all these exchanges were set up through an educated jab that was crisp, sharp, and right outside of Frampton's reach. It's because of that distance control that these exchanges were able to happen. He was able to disrupt Frampton's rhythm and disrupt Frampton so that he could get these exchanges off on the inside. To expand on the strategy of circling right in orthodox versus orthodox matchups, usually what ends up happening is you force your opponent to fight with essentially one punch, which is the jab. This is because circling to the right means you're circling away from your opponent's right hand, making the distance far too great to use that right hand. It also makes using the left hook very difficult because you cannot generate any power behind it without getting any leverage first. An opponent constantly moving towards the direction that takes away that leverage makes that punch ineffective. And Warrington was already winning the jab battle, which is why he was so comfortable forcing Frampton to fight with only the jab.
Good left hook there from Warrington on the right hand.
And he looks a bit stunned again, Frampton.
Well, Warrington's doing, he's moving around to his right.
Now, I mentioned that circling to the right creates too much distance to use the right hand. However, when fighting on the inside, that distance is exactly what is needed for that punch to land. After all, you need distance to punch, just not so much distance that you can't reach the target. Coupling this with an opponent that is slow to make the positional adjustment of circling to the right with you, and you find a perfect opening for the right hand where there isn't enough distance to land the left hand. So we see them tie up and get him close range here, and you see Warrington starts moving over to his right while in close range, because you see that left hand it's pretty much tied up with Frampton, so he can't really use it or get much power behind it. So you see him move over to his right so he could throw that right hand because it has enough distance. And see, they're going to tie up again, and we notice that Warrington's actually going to step over to his right here. You notice there that he can only throw his right hand because the left hand is tied up. And then again, he has the distance to throw the right hand as is moving to the right, and that's only because he has the distance. Excellent boxing. And here Frampton makes a better adjustment by measuring his distance, baiting out that jab from Warrington and countering with a straight right hand as opposed to a looping shot, because the straight punches are going to have much more reach on them. And so I'm going to end the video by just saying that a lot of people remember this fight or attribute the reason as to why Josh Warrington won is for moments like these where he's just out fighting Frampton and slugging it out along the ropes or in close range, which is, it's absolutely true. But at the same time, this was started by moments where he was able to land crisp, sharp jabs. And those jabs are what set up the moments where he was able to throw Frampton off guard and disrupt him so that he could, outfight him on the inside. And so it's pretty much crazy to say that he was just brawling in there with him when it was clearly set up by these educated jabs. Because Carl Frampton is an excellent counterpuncher, you can't just step in there and outslug him because it's going to counterpunch you. And so you see that moments like these where Warrington's able to jab him, counter him. This is what sets up those infights and what sets up all of those exchanges that everyone saw. And as always, thank you everybody for watching. As always, if you like my content and want to see more, please leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and I will keep pumping out these videos as long as fights are coming out. So, as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you all for watching.
Now when she burning, I'ma chill for a minute, cause ain't no loving good enough to get burned while I'm up in it. Yeah. And that's real up and real deal, Holyfield. And now you hookers and hoes know how I feel. Well, if it's good enough to give up a proper chunk, I take a small piece of some of that funky stuff. It's like this and like that and like this, and it's like that and like